and welcome to this edition of Let's Talk. This is a very special day because I have on the show a very special man who is my guest today that I will be speaking to. And he and I are going to be exploring a wide range of issues that relate to developmental disabilities. He is Mr. Mathias Oni-Eseleh, the founder and executive director of Taconic Innovations, that is based in New York, which is in fact one of the big players in the field of developmental disabilities in the state of New York. He is an African immigrant who doesn't forget where he actually was born and raised, and he has established this massive operation that is known as Taconic Innovations with 425 employees. In addition to that, he also hosts a radio show known as Disability Voices on radio dial number 91.3 FM in New York. And as if all of the things that he has been doing over the years were not enough, in the past year or so, past year or two I believe, he also established the Autism Center, which is really already been sought after in terms of the work that they do. It's a very specialized organization, and he is going to be talking to us today about that as well. He is also the president and founder of the Hudson Valley Entrepreneurial Club in Dutchess County, New York, but does in fact cover the entire Hudson Valley of New York. Mr. Mathias Oni-Eseleh, welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ohiro, for giving this opportunity to a global audience about transforming developmental disabilities. What a month, and what to speak to your audience about March. In 1987, then President Reagan declared March as the Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. So this is just an opportunity for me to speak to folks in America and folks around the world about the issues related to developmental disabilities. At the time Reagan declared March and the Developmental Disabilities Month and made a proclamation, he wanted Americans and people around the world to provide opportunities for people with developmental disabilities to live a life that is abundant. And let me commend you, Dr. Ohiro, for providing this forum for a lot of people to provide information on a global stage on issues that concern humanity.
This start right now actually is an indication that this is going to be an exciting conversation. So what really does the month March mean for developmental disabilities?
The month of March for developmental disability means a lot. It provides us an opportunity to create awareness. It provides us an opportunity to celebrate what has been achieved. Before President Reagan declared March Developmental Disability Awareness Month, there was a lot of institutionalization. There was a lot of lack of services to people with developmental disabilities. A lot has changed. After the Ohiro Rivera and Willico, for instance, a lot changed in the state of New York and around the United States of America. A lot has also changed around the world. The question is, are we there yet? Absolutely we're not. We still struggle with a lot of services and support for people with developmental disabilities. But a whole lot has changed. We are reducing the number of institutions in the state of New York and across the country. People with developmental disabilities are now living richer lives. People with developmental disabilities are now receiving better services than they received during the days of institutionalization. We're definitely not there yet. 9 out of 10 letters that I get from people with developmental disabilities on a daily basis call for employment. The rate of employment for people with developmental disabilities is still very high. It is, as we speak, disabilities overall is so low that a whole lot of them can't become entrepreneurs. The rate of employment is still very low. A lot of them are still unemployed. Challenges are still there. We've achieved a lot. So the month of March provides us an opportunity to raise awareness that yes, people with developmental disabilities and people with disabilities overall still have needs.
The question that I have as I'm listening to you is this. What do you say to people, because you seem to be concerned about the unemployment rate among people with developmental disabilities? In other words, you seem to be suggesting that people with developmental disabilities are capable of being employed. What do you say to people who would say to you the number of them that are employed or unemployed is actually irrelevant because they really are not capable of holding down a job?
We have different potential. To the extent that their potential allow them to carry out some basic assignments and basic tasks, they should be given that opportunity.
You are an African immigrant, as I said in my introduction. First, let me ask you, I have two questions. One is, how did you develop this interest in developmental disabilities? What attracted you to that field? And the second question that I have is that while we talk about all of these things as they relate to people with developmental disabilities here in the United States, what would you say about the plight of people with developmental disabilities back home in Africa?
What a question. My foundation was here, my upbringing was here, son of a priest, actually one of the best men that lived on earth, and son of a nurse. My parents provided me opportunities to understand what compassion is all about. They taught me that everybody deserves the opportunity to live a life that is desired. They taught me that everybody deserves an opportunity to live a life that is abundant. And abundancy of life is relative to how you interpret it. Abundancy of life in my household, the household where I grew up, means that you have opportunities, I have opportunities, and that all men are born equally, and all men should be treated equally, irrespective of their ability, challenges, weaknesses. That we've got to focus on ability and take out the DIS. It's not about what disabilities are, because we all have disabilities. But when it's written right on your forehead that you have a disability, people, and they don't see the ability in you. So my upbringing, my background, my family, my siblings, my parents taught me not just to be compassionate, but to seek out the abilities that is innate in people, that everybody is able, and to find ways to turn what people regard as disability to ability and weaknesses into strengths. That you are who you are because of your strength, that you are who you are because of your ability. We all bring different things to the table. What you bring to the table might be different than what I bring to the table. Better begin to find ways to focus on ability and not disability.
So as I think about all of these things that are involved in caring for people with developmental disabilities that you have laid out, you actually came right out of the box and laid a bunch of them out. The question that I have for you right now is, how does Taconic Innovations, your organization, fit into that work, into the advancing the cause of developmental disabilities and people with developmental disabilities?
We've done that in many ways. We continue to do that. We continue to find ways to transform the drivers of change. Identifying those drivers of change. And as we identify them, to identify key areas of those things that are relevant to people with developmental disability, not just within the United States, but around the world. As we do that through the creation of work opportunities, enhancement of better services, through the provision of advocacy services, through teaching, mentoring, and getting into the global stage, what I'm talking about at some point, in terms of how do we reach people in Africa, how do we enhance our services to make sure that people with disabilities of all kinds, autism, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, are able to take advantage of some of the services we offer. That is something we definitely have.
You know that when we are trying to make a differential diagnosis and trying to determine if someone should be classified or should be diagnosed with any of the developmental disabilities, one of the things that we look at is the IQ. So we look, for example, at where they will fall within that spectrum of disabilities, of developmental disabilities. So the range is usually from 20 to, like 22, which is from mild to profound mental retardation, which the profound will be 20, and then we go up to like 55 and make that determination. So let me ask you, do you focus on people that are just mildly retarded, or do you focus on anyone that falls within that broad spectrum?
We normally look at the people and the eye or the biological age and that's one of the IQ. We normally range it between 10 and 69.
Right, and actually we go up to 70 when we're looking at mild MR, yeah.
Yes, and then we focus on the 10 to 9.9, which is 10 to 70%, which is mild, and what therapists tend to consider as severe.
Sure.
We don't look at them as severe and mild and moderate. We look at them as people that need services and people can be enhanced. We vary in enhancement of skills. The services and supports of somebody who has an IQ of 10, for instance, my needs might be different from somebody who has an IQ of 70. And so services and supports are provided for them based on their ability, based on their strengths. And building on those abilities and building on those strengths to make them live a life that is potentially a life that they want to live. A life that is abundant. And again, abundance of life depends on how you look at it. Somebody with an IQ of 5 or an IQ of 10, for instance, might just be able to do certain things that they are capable of doing. Have they lived a life that is abundant? Absolutely. And so we focus on looking at those individuals whose IQ are not above 70 and providing them services and support based on what they already know, based on what their strengths already allow them to do, and building on that to enhance their skills and to make them contributory members of society. You see, issues of social responsibility are crucial. We live a life where we want to make sure that everybody contributes to society. People want to contribute to society. People with disabilities, they're not looking for handouts. They're not looking for handouts. They're tired of being doorkeepers. They don't want to be doormen at Walmart, Target, or any of these local stores. They want to do certain things where they can contribute to the economic development of the world. Our Congress, thanks to folks like Senator Chuck Schumer and Christine Gillibrand, folks who actually voted for the Able Act. Our president just signed the Able Act into law. The Able Act that the president signed a couple of weeks ago now allows people with disabilities to be able to contribute more to our economic development and be able to save more money and still get the benefit that they get. So similar to the 529. We've been lobbying for this act for a very long time. Now it is the law of the land. And it's definitely not talking. One of the things we've achieved is definitely how far we've come since 1987. today. We celebrate that this month. We create awareness of what Able Act does, what Able Act can do, and the opportunities that's not available for people, not just people with disabilities, but for people generally, people with developmental disabilities, people with autism, people with cerebral palsy, and people generally now have opportunity to be able to contribute more to the economic development. One of the things that we don't focus a lot on is how people with developmental disabilities can contribute more to our economic development. They have a role to play.
I have been struck by a few things that you have said. One of them is that you talked about what President Reagan did in this area as far back as 1985. And you also have just talked about the involvement of President Obama and what he just signed into law recently and what it enables you to do. And the people at the level, senators who were also involved in crafting this legislation that got to the president, which he supported and signed. So you're talking about leadership and talking about involvement at the highest level of the United States government. How does one get that to happen in African countries? Because I'm sure that you and I know that that is something that's lacking over there.
I hear you say it is lacking, but I don't think we've actually provided the opportunity for leaders to be part of the movement. You see, change doesn't just happen. Change happens because we the people want change. We the Africans must want change. And the change that we must take has to start from here. That's with you, Dr. Ohiro. And I just commend you. I'm just proud of you. Commend you for giving people like us the opportunity to come to a global stage. I mean, I've done three, four national, programs this week on developmental disability. This is the first global program I'm doing. I listened to your program yesterday. What a show! So thank you so much. We are the change that we must take. We must seek change. We must provide opportunities for our leaders to understand what it takes, to understand how important it is for them to get involved in providing services and support to children and adults with autism and other developmental disabilities. The numbers are staggering autism. The numbers are staggering. It's 1 in 64, 1 in 67 in some states across the United States. In some African countries, actually, it's 1 in 150. The numbers cannot be correct, but we don't have real data in some African countries. But whatever the numbers are, let's get away from numbers for a minute. Autism transcends race. We've come together, we've become one as a universe, we've become a globe. What affects Africa affects us in the United States. Autism transcends race, it transcends color, it transcends political interest. Here in the United States, we have Republicans and Democrats and independents all concerned about the issues of autism. If you're not impacted today, you might be impacted tomorrow. Majority of us have children who are going to have children. And who are going to have children? We're going to have the grandfathers and great-grandfathers. And if we're not interested in autism today, when are we going to be interested?
Right. So please talk a little about the Autism Center that you founded that's up and going.
The Autism Center that we funded and started about 2 years ago, has been providing services and support to families, to siblings, to children with autism. It is a center that's provided hope. Where people felt there was no hope. It's a center that's provided opportunities for early diagnosis. Like Dr. Ohiro, early diagnosis is important. Providing early services is key. Our Center for Autism Diagnosis and other services for children with autism has provided AP, acquired behavior analysis to a lot of children through social skills development, provided family support programs for a lot of families, provided sibling supports to a lot of families. We are currently in the process of expanding the service and support that we provide at the center to include caregiver support, which people hardly talk about. Who supports caregivers? So we can't just talk about the children. It's important to provide support for the children because we believe that the children that we support are someday going to become contributory members to society. And whenever I have an opportunity to talk about the center, I talk about Christopher. Christopher is a 4-year-old child, a 4-year-old who comes to the center. He's been coming to the center for the past 1.5 years. When Christopher started coming to the center, he never made eye contact. He never spoke to anybody. I know Christopher's mother is probably listening today. Christopher saw me a couple of days ago and came walking to me and gave me a high five. He allowed me to shake his hand. He allowed me to give him a high five back. That is what keeps me going. That through the services and support that we provide at the center like this, children like Christopher someday might be able to live a life that is rich, a lasting potential. I'm speaking to you today from our Autism Center, where in a few minutes after this broadcast, I'll be meeting with parents, young parents who have just been given that news that their child might have autism, and who wonder what might be next with their child. And today, after this broadcast, we're going to have a roundtable conversation on what they did not tell parents, what they don't tell parents when their child is diagnosed with autism. There's a lot that people still don't know about the early diagnosis, about providing care and support for children when they need that.
Right. With all of the work that you do, I think that this is probably one of the biggest questions of the afternoon. With all of the questions that you do and the fact that you're constantly running, constantly busy, 3 national shows already this week and meetings all over, do you sleep?
Dr. Ohiro, I saw on TV at 1 a.m. a couple of days ago. I'm preparing for this show, and I had to do questions. Yes, I do. I just, I just sleep.
Yeah, well, using me as an example is probably is an interesting example because a lot of people who know me say the same thing. They say, wow, you sent me an email at 2 a.m., you sent me an email at 4 a.m., do you sleep? Now I just say to them, sleep is overrated. But it's also true that growing up, our father would say to us that, and that's one thing I have also begun to say to people, if you worry about me not sleeping, perhaps you should blame my dad. Because as far as, like long ago as when I was a little child, he will say, you need to really work hard because the heights which great men attained were not attained by sudden flight, but they, when their peers slept, kept toiling through the night. So that ethic was planted in us, but they didn't say do not sleep, but it's just that there's so much to do.
When you get older, you begin to think about a legacy.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about that after I told you. What do I want my legacy? What contributions do I want to make to this world? What contributions how do I want to enhance social change? And what we do is about social change. It's about your contributions to social responsibility issues. And social responsibility issues and social change issues are issues that we grew up on. We grew up on those issues. And what legacy can we have if it's not funded around social change and social responsibility?
So, yeah.
Our culture based on social change and social responsibility.
Right. It does appear then that we are probably driven by similar forces because people pretty close to me, actually, some of them have heard that I am really driven now by the fact that it's legacy time. And I want to be remembered as one who used the talents well that God gave him. And one doesn't do that by just sleeping on his back, all day and all night. So
you know, I've been doing that. Because I was prepared for this, to know you better. I've known you for a very long time. I went back to some of your books. You never guess what questions the professor is going to ask. So in order to understand it, I actually went back to some of the books. I read some of the books, and then kind of learned a lot by reading some of the books. That you're driven. You've been driven for quite some time on establishing a legacy.
Yeah, that is very important. We need to do that because we are not getting younger. But let me just come back to you and ask you what your radio show is about and what exactly you accomplished by doing that.
The radio show is an hour of both. It's an hour once a week. On Mondays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. www.bkr.org 91.3 FM radio. It is titled Disability Voice. It is that 1 hour where we create awareness, where we give opportunities for people with disabilities to call in, where we talk about issues that relate to people with disabilities, issues of advocacy, issues of inclusion, issues of the criminal justice system versus people with disabilities. It is that hour where we provide information. We will provide information not just to people with disabilities, but to our immediate community. We have folks from the United Nations, logged in every Monday to listen to issues that we have to talk about. We have folks from around the world logging on because the show is streamed live. It's going to stream live. We now have people from all over the world logged in every day and listening to issues that we talk about. It is important to have a voice, and I think for quite some time, people with disabilities have not had a voice. There's not been an opportunity for them to hear about issues that concern them. Through our radio show, we talk a lot, for instance, about the Able Act. We advocated for the Able Act. We spoke to politicians about the Able Act. We have over 23,000 listeners. We need to week. We also pour out those issues that affect people with disabilities every day. We talk about issues of autism. We follow the CDC policy, the vaccine controversy, issues of people with mental illness being killed by our first responders, the challenges that our first responders have when they go into a home of a family with autism, the training that our first responders need to react to individuals dealing with social problems because of their disability. Talk about cultural issues. Why don't more people of color seek therapy services? We talk about issues of psychotherapy. Why are people no longer going to psychotherapists to speak to them? Why are they now going to get therapy services from them? What are the disadvantages? What are the advantages? That's my mission.
Right. Remember that when we were starting, I did say that people that were logged on their computers could actually send me questions that I would ask you, and people that were logged in on through their phones, who were listening to you through their phones, could actually just signify that they had questions, and I would open it up for them to ask their questions. We have a question actually from someone who is listening in Nigeria, and here is the question: that she knows somebody whose child is developmentally disabled, and the person is now having great difficulty meeting the challenges of caregiving, and is actually considering running away from home and leaving the child, or dropping the child at a bus stop and disappearing. Do you have any words, especially for a society like this one, where this woman is, where there is no help really from the system for children like that or for parents like that who are caregivers, such that even if she leaves this child at a bus stop. All right, Mathias, your response to the woman in Nigeria.
Keep hope alive. Things can't be that bad. Do not drop your child in the bus stop. Do not run away. Services of support are coming. They will come. Gotta begin to have collaborative effort to support a child like you. You see, I hear this regularly. I hear families call or any of them call Center for Ability. They call our Center for Autism Services. They call our Center for Career Development with questions like that. And the answer to them is, don't do it. Identify strengths, identify the abilities that your child have. Build on those abilities. Seek help. Seek help, and if help doesn't come right away, help is coming. We're designing and developing a program, a campus of hope, that will provide opportunities for people from all over the world to come to a campus of hope for the support that they need before going back to their country. So the service and support that we provide to them will enhance the way they support their children. It's one of the key skills of Ohiro is training for families, and that's one of the services we provide on us. Families need to be trained on how to deal with it. Families need to be trained on how to provide support for their children. Families need to have an opportunity to talk to professionals on the challenges and the difficulties they have. Apart from the sibling support group, we also have, the family support groups. A friend family is supposed to be very important for the provision of care. And so to a mother like that, we want to reach out and provide some assistance in terms of supporting her so that she can support her child.
I like your focus on caregivers because caregiver stress is something that's not talked about as frequently as it ought. The statistics are clear that 30%, 3 out of 10 people that are caregivers, it could actually be 4 in some cultures or 5, die before the person that they're caring for. But even those that don't die get very, very sick because the impact of caregiver stress is real. So I like your focus on caregiver stress, and the question that I have is that what do you think might be the cultural issues if, for example, you were going to be providing these services for African families in Africa? And do you have any problems when you are introducing these services or when people are being referred for these services, people that are African immigrants? What are the cultural issues that you see?
Dr. Ohiro, I talk about caregiver stress. Actually, it was last year on caregiver stress, and it was overwhelming to me. A lot of caregivers called, and nobody ever talked about us. Nobody ever cared about us. We actually, my show actually gave out tickets to caregivers to go to the renegades. The renegade sent us tickets and we gave them out to caregivers, and provided transportation to some of them just to take a break. One of the services that we provide is called respite service. And we always say in a center of abilities, the respite services provides opportunities for caregivers to take a break. Cultural issue, like Africa, we do not intend to start introducing services directly to Africa. One part of hope, we provide them to bring their children to us. We provide the services here and gradually introduce the services back to where they come from. And since we started the initiative, we've had calls and emails from a lot of them, including Australia. Services are supposed to provide here in the United States, the best around the world. We've had calls from countries, even Australia, to come look at the services that we provide. And so as we start the services here through a camp-like environment, we train the families, we train the child, provide care, they go back to their country with a new orientation as
let me take you back to your growing up years in Africa. Do you remember seeing people that were developmentally disabled, or the people that were autistic? Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. I remember seeing them. I remember people laughing at them. I remember people mocking them. I remember them being called names. And I remember people shying away. I remember families, running away from those people and locking them up because they didn't want to be associated with them. I remember that very clearly. And unfortunately, a lot of that stuff was on. And unfortunately, the history of developmental disability dates back to when people with disabilities were regarded as imbeciles. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of transformation that hasn't happened even in countries like the United States. I mean, we're talking about Willebrook. We're talking about Geraldo and what he did to expose what people with developmental disabilities went through in institutions. We're talking about the institutionalization, even many years after Geraldo. The struggle continues. The struggle, that's why a show like yours is absolutely very appreciated, because again, it provides us the opportunity to talk about these issues. We're not there yet, but we're going to get there.
I have another question from Nigeria. It's again from Nigeria. When she is saying that when her daughter was diagnosed, the doctor said to her, "There is no hope. There is nothing we can do. Just take the child home and just be giving the child any medication that is prescribed." So she said that she was very distraught, felt completely hopeless, and it's only been in recent times that she's been hearing about what we have doing and listening to the first show that I did with Dr. Asihir about developmental disabilities, and it gave her a great deal of hope. So she wants to know, what is it that she can do as a parent in Nigeria to educate other parents and to give them hope?
That's an excellent question. I want to say I commend a lot of Nigerians that have started. There are now a lot of centers, a lot of schools, they've been around for quite some time. They have the deaf and the dumb. It's not a name that I like. Why not have autism support? There's a lot of support. Now, the problem that I see, though, Dr. Ohiro, is that there's still a lot of class division. A lot of the schools, only people that are wealthy are able to provide support for their children. And what you can do, Dr. Ohiro, be knowledgeable about these issues. Just you can educate other people. There's something that we talk about a lot in Transformational groups, and that is intelligent leadership. Intelligent leadership is, if you want to take it, if you want to be a leader, you have to be intelligent, you have to be knowledgeable. And so if she seeks information and she gets the information and she's knowledgeable about these issues, she can educate others. So I'll advise her to do whatever it takes. Seek information. Come here, seek information. Get information, get knowledgeable about these issues so she can go back and
It does appear then that the education that you talk about has to occur at so many different levels, because if a doctor is saying to her, there is nothing we can do, just give the medications and that's all, there's no hope, the doctor is definitely not providing any hope, and the doctor is acknowledging that he or she is not capable of providing that hope. Shouldn't the doctors then also be part of the receiving end of the education that you speak about?
Dr. Ohiro, interestingly, medical doctors are focused on one thing, that is pharmacology. And they have to focus just on that. We deal with them regularly. I mean, we have that, they diagnose autism and refer them to us. We provide those services and supports. Services and supports that are geared towards enhancing behavioral skills and geared towards social skills and not medical. And so the doctors can say all they want in terms of the medical knowledge. That's their focus. Our focus deals with social issues. And the issues that disability, autism,
So do you plan at some point in future to personally or through your organization do something in Africa?
The first thing we're doing, and we're doing that in Campus of Hope, and through the Taconic Innovation Campus of Hope, in a few weeks we're going to be formally opening our Center for Disabilities. We've opened our Autism Center. We've opened our Center for Entrepreneurship and Career Development. We are developing our Center of Hope, our Campus of Hope, and that will provide opportunities to bring in families and the children to our Campus of Hope every year during the summer, where they can come in, receive the training, service and support that they need, and go back. After we've done that for this summer, our intention will be to set up a Campus of Hope, back in Africa, and the provision of Campus of Hope, back in Africa. We call it Campus of Hope because it gives hope. That yes, there is hope. It's not over. It's not over. We have a creator that just created all men equally, that gave us all potential, and that the level of support that we need differs. The level of support that you need differs from the one that I need. We all need support. Everybody needs support.
Correct.
It's just a varying degree. Initially, we bring families into a campus of hope. We support them. The Taconic Innovation Campus of Hope. We support and provide services for them. We'll go back to the countries. We'll monitor the support service. One of the things that we're very interested in is the collection of data. Data is absolutely very important to us. It's important to our organization. We want to make sure that we're successful. We want to make sure that we're making an impact. We want to make sure that we're contributing to the enhancement of social change. It is about social change. And we want to be convinced that families coming to our Center of Hope and going back to their different countries are able to continue the support that they got when they came.
I am going to be rounding up because this has been a good afternoon. But I just want to know if you will be interested at some point in meeting someone who has begun to do some work in Nigeria and Ghana. Anyone who's begun to do some work in Nigeria or Ghana, so that we can actually all just sit together and discuss what everyone is doing. You have the platform and the resources to be able to drive a lot of change. And many of them who are trying to do something in Nigeria and in Ghana and in those African countries, and in fact there are only a few of them who are even trying right now, do not have that platform, do not have those resources. And so now I want you to speak to them, to those other people that are trying to do something. What would you say to them just to encourage them to continue or whatever?
Collaboration. So let's work together. I'll say, we can do more if we collaborate. Synergy, people coming together to ensure that they're strong. And I guess we all bring different things to the table. And our organizations, we don't believe that we can do it all. We believe that we can work together with other people to enhance change. If we are going to enhance change, we gotta collaborate.
So, just give me, unless somebody has a question, which I don't see any questions right now, but I just want you to actually begin to give your final comments. And I look forward to having you again soon.
Okay, I just want to say, I commend you for giving out to speak to your listeners of the world and people. Autism, for instance, has become an epidemic. Numbers are staggering. If you're not scared about the numbers, I am. And we have every reason to be concerned about the numbers. CDC concerned, the United Nations is concerned. We've done some work with the United Nations. We are going to continue work with the United Nations to
I can assure you that many people, many Africans will be very interested, and you have been at this for a long time, you have the experience, and you have had real proven success, and I believe that you'll be a tremendous resource to people who are trying to do work there, and to the African families who desperately need your services. You have made this a very, very good day, and I am grateful to you for coming, and I look forward to us.
Dr. Ohiro.
Yes, please.
I actually had a conversation. I logged in my phone and I want to say something now.
Oh, sure, please go ahead.
Looking back at what Mathias had talked about, it takes time to develop, and it takes time to get to a point where the people, it can take time to get to this point where the people with disabilities are here in the United States. Way back, looking back in the history of the population, in 1965, Senator Robert Kennedy stated on an basic development. However, it took another number of years until the Disability Act of 1990. It takes time. Change takes a lot of education and awareness.
Oh, thank you very much for that comment. I think it is really good advice and a reminder that we all very often need that these things take time. We do need to start somewhere, and I think kudos to everyone who tries to work on change. So, Mathias, I think that you're doing a great job, and we've had very great, very wonderful comments. I continue to wish you well. I hope that you have only, the successes that you're going to have, and the journey that still lies ahead of you is one that tells me that you have only just begun. Even though so much has been attained already, I know that you were born to run, you are running, and you are doing a tremendous job for people who really need the help. It's my hope also that at some point you will also be extending some of this work to the people in Africa who also need it. Because one of the lessons that we all learn growing up in Africa is that it's always a good thing, regardless of where we are, to also lift people up. We try to lift everyone up, anyone that we can reach anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter if it's just where we were born or anywhere else. We lift people up no matter where they come from. I wish you well as you continue to do that, and I'll continue to have you back here to educate us more, and I look forward to even greater things from you. Thanks for this afternoon, and God bless. Bye-bye.